Hello everyone and welcome to Season 5, Episode 31 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in NXT history with match number 20 on our list, which is for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship between the champion Lio Rush and the challenger Angel Garza from the November 13th, 2019 edition of NXT Television. This match is the definition of a hidden gem. These two wrestlers are both, I'm going to go ahead and say, hidden gem wrestlers. Neither one gets the due that they should. That's for darn sure. This was around the time that NXT had moved to the USA Network to go head-to-head on Wednesday nights with AEW Dynamite. We all know how that turned out. At the time, though, while Dynamite was really starting to find its footing, it was coming across as this, exciting television show. NXT was really putting on a lot of good matches. And something that they very smartly established was the Cruiserweight division. The Cruiserweight division in the WWE is one of the most frustrating things ever for me as a wrestling fan. In WCW, I loved the Cruiserweights in 95, 96. They were a huge wake-up call for me. Rey Mysterio Jr. is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. He changed the game for me as a fan. Guys like Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero and all the luchadors and, everybody that was involved with that Cruiserweight division were so important to me, as a fan in the 90s. So, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Later era WCW, that Cruiserweight title didn't quite get the respect that it deserved. But near the end of WCW's life, it really started to pick up again. You had guys like Shane Helms and, Ray was still kicking around, Chavo Guerrero. You had Kaz Hayashi, Jimmy Yang, Shannon Moore. You had AJ Styles and Air Paris coming in. You had Elix Skipper, you had Kid Romeo. Basically, the Cruiserweight division was starting to come alive again, and it would ultimately, kind of in a way, become NWA TNA's X division, after WCW kind of died out. But it was a really exciting time. WCW folded, the WWE bought it, and I hoped that it would just be this natural transition that all of these Cruiserweights would come in, and it, would add this, in-ring kind of work rate, kick in the pants that WWE, kind of needed for me. You had great workers like, Benoit and Angle and Jericho and Guerrero and all of those guys, but you really didn't have, that high-flying action. I felt like that was missing and, that these guys could have brought it in. The Cruiserweight title flopped, was eventually completely dissolved. And then we had the Cruiserweight Classic, which was amazing. As a fan, I was so excited for it, to see guys like Kota Ibushi and Johnny Gargano and, all of these great, Drew Gulak. Who would have ever thought Drew Gulak would be in the WWE with his style of wrestling? It was so exciting. It was so great. I loved it all. TJ Perkins, the first Cruiserweight champion, and then they brought these guys on the main roster and they flopped. We eventually got 205 Live out of it. 205 Live is still on. It's not what it, was at its peak. It's a show that, I've heard kind of, called 205 Leave because, they would film it after SmackDown and a lot of the crowd would disperse and nobody knew who these Cruiserweights were. But that show holds such a special place in my heart because you had guys like Mustafa Ali, Buddy Murphy, Kalisto, Akira Tozawa, Drew Gulak, Biff Busick, like all of the, Tony Nese. I could keep going. Grand Metalik, but all of these great wrestlers that were on this program that just worked their tails off to, crowds that were completely unreceptive, and a lot of weeks by the end of it, they would get them into it. And they would work so hard, and they never got a proper platform for it. So, flash forward to NXT, the WWE Cruiserweight title became the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. Drew Gulak dropped the title to Lio Rush. And they started to feature these Cruiserweight title matches regularly on a week-by-week basis. That's something that, Nitro did so great, Early Thunder did so great. And I thought, if you put one action-packed, high-flying title match on each episode, despite the fact that AEW Dynamite feels so exciting and so dynamic, I will still make sure, whether it's after the fact or not, I'll make it a point to watch NXT to check out that Cruiserweight match. And then unfortunately, this title really, it stuck around, but it didn't really do much or mean much. whether the pandemic affected that, I don't know. They put the belt on Jordan Devlin and he was stuck in the UK, and then they had an interim champion, and everything like that. But it didn't work. And recently they dissolved the title once again, which, whether I cared about it or not at this point, it still broke my heart a little bit. But this was right in that time frame, though, where it seemed like these cruiserweights were going to be a focal point. They were going to be so exciting. And Lio Rush is one of the most incredible professional wrestlers I've ever seen. He's so fast. He's so dynamic. He is phenomenal. And this match, him and Angel Garza, they built up this great little nasty, almost blood feud on WWE television, based around, each other's wives and everything. And it was really, really good stuff. And this was their initial title match. And Leo's so good at the start. He hits, all that crazy cat and mouse, dodging and evading stuff that he does. And Angel Garza realizes he can't keep up with Leo's speed, so he has to get into his head, and he bails out, goes into the crowd, rips his pants off in front of Lio Rush's wife who's in the crowd, hands her the pants, and that causes Lio to just snap. He wipes him out with a crazy tope, hits a satellite DDT for 2, goes for the come up, which Garza's able to avoid. Lio stays on the attack. Garza kind of takes like a belly bump, sliding flop to the floor like Rey Mysterio would do. Lio goes for the tope again, but at this point, Garza's ready for it and counters it into a crazy, just sick power slam on the floor. That leads us to a commercial break, but that's the changing point in the match. Lio let those emotions get the best of him, just like Garza knew that they would, and it allowed him to take control. And as we come back, this match gets a little stiff and a little chippy. We get some big knees, we get slaps. Garza goes for the wing clipper, which is blocked. Lio goes for the come up, and Garza just nails him in the back of the head with a drop kick to block it, which was just nasty. And these guys go into big, big moves in this match. Garza misses a moonsault, and Lio Rush busts out the twisting unprettier, the Derek Frazier special, one of my favorite moves of all time. And awesome that Lio started doing that. It's that callback to Maryland Championship Wrestling and CZW, and I love stuff like that. Garza, cuts off the final hour, which is that big frog splash that Lio gets with crazy hang time. And he hits a fall-away slam moonsault off the top rope. And, although we've gotten kind of used to big moves on WWE television, sometimes they still shock me just a little bit. And this one did. I couldn't remember seeing that busted out on television, so it was awesome. Lio stops a moonsault and hits a standing Spanish fly that Garza runs into. Kills him with like a sick back spin kick, which is wild. And he hits the come up, but only gets 2. He's, slaps Garza because they have this personal grudge at this point. A second come up gets turned into the wing clipper. That's only good for 2. So we're rocking and rolling with the big near falls. Both of these guys have hit their finishes. Both have kicked out. This has turned into a match that, you kind of thought would be a fun little TV battle that's now turned into a big time television title match. Angel Garza kind of locks Lio Rush in the wing clipper, which is kind of like Nikki Roxx's old like Barbie Crusher move, but with like the arms butterflied. And he starts dragging Lio Rush up to the top rope and teases the super wing clipper, which would be nuts. But Lio starts headbutting out, and they're trading like crazy headbutts on the top rope. And there's a spot I love where Lio kind of falls back to bump from a headbutt, but because he's got his legs around Garza's waist, he like flips him over into like almost like a body scissors Hurricane Rana, which was awesome. And he goes back up top and hits the final hour, but they do such a good job with this because when he hits it, like Garza's just kind of coming up, so he's almost like leaning over, standing up, and he takes this big move. That only gets 2. And, an emphatic kind of nail in the coffin. Lio goes back up for it again. Garza's pulling himself up on the ropes. I just knocked my camera off trying to show an example of what he was doing, but he's kind of hanging there on the ropes, and Lio nails him with one more, and it's enough for 3. But while he was getting that 3 count, because they're in the ropes, Garza kind of gets his foot on the rope, and Lio knocks it off. Didn't come across as heelish to me, but it gave that natural opening for a rematch. These guys would go at it one more time for the title. They would even better themselves. Spoiler alert for this countdown. But this 2 matches that these guys had Nobody talks about it. Everybody's forgotten about it. It's a damn shame because they are incredible matches, some of the best in NXT history, some of the best cruiserweight matches ever, shown on WWE television. But now watching it back, it's a sad sign of, what could have been with this division. This match, though, you can, of course, check it out on Peacock if you're outside the US. It's on the WWE Network. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.